Look, there's no competition on LinkedIn. There's a reason that I didn't take everything I learned on Facebook and grew a Facebook page. It was so oversaturated and competitive by the time I got into Facebook that it was difficult to grow. That is not the case on LinkedIn.
Welcome to The Defense Never Rests with Morgan and Akins, your monthly dose of uncommon sense about all things legal and some that are not.
Good morning, everybody. Welcome to The Defense Never Rests. I am your host, Trisha Baxter, and today we are talking marketing and networking, LinkedIn tips for lawyers. And it's interesting because we planned this episode pre-COVID-19, and the idea is for young associates that are not young lawyers that are not given large marketing budgets. How do they market in this day and age? A lot of the partners, I'll trash my profession for just a second, hog the marketing budgets. They hog the speaking events. They go to the conferences, and some of the younger lawyers aren't given that opportunity. But in this day and age, social media, you can leverage social media to level the playing field. And that's kind of what the idea behind this episode was. Now we're filming it in the middle of, I don't even know what day it is of COVID-19, but it's like let's just make it up 15. And we are quarantined. Every single conference for the next 3 months has been canceled. Nobody's speaking. There are people doing webinars and doing things online. But now is a really great time for lawyers to get into LinkedIn and use that audience. And so that's we're doing both things today. This is a pre-COVID. If you don't have a marketing budget, this is the episode for you. Or if you find yourself at home and you still want to network and market, this is also the episode for you. And I couldn't be more thrilled for our guest today. She's the queen of LinkedIn marketing. She took her following from 0 to over 200,000 people in less than 2 years with 7-figure income. I don't know if that doesn't get your attention, what will? So welcome, Shay Rowbottom. How are you?
I'm good. Thank you, Trisha. Thank you for having me.
I'm so excited. If you could just give our listeners a brief overview of your background and then where you are today.
Yeah, absolutely. So, originally when I dropped out of college at age 20, I wanted to pursue music. I wanted to be a musician. So I kind of naturally stumbled in the world of marketing and trying to get some exposure on social media, but I knew nothing. I was very naive. I had no business experience. I was just naturally very creative was what I was good at. So it ended up leading to me discovering video, and I hired a videographer to do a music video for me, and I learned, oh, wow, there's actually like a lot of money in video. And maybe if I learn video, I won't have to waitress to support my music career. So I learned how to edit. And shortly after that, I got a job working for a large page on Facebook that had about 3 million likes at the time. The page owner was my age, and he was making a lot of money. A lot of it was passive, like clicks to his website through his Facebook blog. I was really impressed with this guy. So I just decided to humble myself and say, you know what, I'm going to quit everything I'm doing with music, and I'm just going to work for this guy. And I'm just going to learn digital marketing. Like, how is he doing this? How did you get 3 million followers on Facebook? Like, I don't understand. I can't even get 1,000 likes on my Facebook music page. Like, what's going on? So it turned into me starting a company. I mean, I started out kind of freelancing, just editing videos for his Facebook page, turning his blog posts into video content, because video had become really favored in the algorithm on a lot of platforms, especially Facebook. So it was in demand at the time I got into video. So his page, the videos started blowing up. It started to have a lot of success for his business. And then more and more pages started seeing these videos, and they wanted my help. So I eventually built a company around video licensing. I was essentially curating content, like finding viral video clips online and reaching out to the content owner to facilitate a license to distribute that video for them on these large pages on Facebook. And it just grew and grew and grew. After about a year of doing it myself in my bedroom with a little bit of an outsourced team, I ended up getting an investment, scaling it to over 30 in-house employees, doing big media campaigns on Facebook for companies like Petco, Yahoo. I did a video for BuzzFeed. So it was really an amazing place to be. I don't think people on LinkedIn realize how much video marketing experience I really did have before I ever got on LinkedIn. And then what happened was, I had heard that LinkedIn was the place to get leads. And I had heard it from another business friend of mine in Milwaukee who also had a video marketing company. He was kind of in a similar field. He said, I get a lot of my leads through LinkedIn. And I said, oh boy, like I've never experimented with LinkedIn. I guess I'll hop on. So I started creating my own content again. And you have to understand how thrilling that was for me after taking years off of like creating my own content, because I've always identified with being the artist and the performer. And I really introverted myself those years on Facebook building that company. So now I was back, and I was back to doing what I love, which is, creating my own work. But now I was applying everything that I had learned on Facebook all those years, all the, how to write headlines, how to get attention, what sort of content is compelling to people. And I instantly realized, I would say maybe a month in, not even, like, wow, there's a big opportunity on LinkedIn. I was getting leads right away. I was killing it with views. I was gaining followers. I was like, this is so easy to grow here. So I really just took it up a notch, ended up after about 6 months of doing that consistently. And I had generated a good revenue stream for that agency. But I had investors and I had partners. I wasn't feeling like it was mine anymore. So I just decided to leave. I sold my shares and pivoted completely, started a LinkedIn video marketing company where I now teach business owners and executives everything I learned on Facebook all those years about video marketing, how to get attention in the news feed for your business, for your brand, to grow your blog. And that is what I'm doing currently today on LinkedIn.
So when did you first start when was the start of your LinkedIn presence for your own company? What year or month?
So May 7th, 2018 is when I released my first video on LinkedIn, and I was still at the last company, the Facebook agency then, yeah.
And how many connections or followers or engagement did you have at that time?
None. I had never posted. I maybe had like one text post that I put out randomly one time, but I had 4,000 connections because I had actually hired a lead gen service on my LinkedIn account like years ago to try and get leads, to do like a direct outreach campaign, which is funny to me now because they did build up my profile. They're the ones who got me. That's the reason I even had 4,000 connections when I started. But it's funny looking back on it because that service is valuable. And I actually offer that service underneath my agency services as well, direct outreach campaigns and messaging on LinkedIn. But it's way more effective when you yourself are making your own content. So I laugh looking back on that now, like, what would happen if I hired that company again today? Like, how many leads could they, so it's all funny.
And now you have it's almost 2 years, not even 2 years later, and you have over 200,000 followers. And LinkedIn is it your single source of income?
Yes, and I'm working on changing that. So all of my leads have come inbound from LinkedIn. So I literally don't even do direct outreach. I haven't started, Facebook ads, YouTube ads, anything like that. I do think it's important to invest in other platforms and have multiple channels. I am a little dependent on LinkedIn right now, but it's been so good for me. So I've really just been squeezing it and capitalizing on everything I've been building there. But yes, it is a big focus of my teams this year to build on other platforms as well.
Well, you're like the dream for lawyers. I mean, you are like the unicorn for lawyers. If lawyers could have clients come to them without any direct outreach, I mean, it's like that's unheard of. So I want to get into your experience. 2 years of doing this and seeing actual results is, I think, what makes you stand out above a lot of other marketing agencies. And I will say to lawyers out there, if you're looking for a social media presence, don't go to or if you're going to go to a legal marketer, check out what they're doing online, check out what they're doing on social. I got approached for some marketing agencies, and I would look at their LinkedIn and they did nothing. So I'm like, how can you help me if you haven't done it? And I came across yours and you've walked the walk. So I want to get into what you've learned in these past 2 years, actionable tips, not stuff that cost a lot of money, but stuff that people could, once they stop listening to this podcast, they could implement right away. So let's start. We're going to do top 10. I'm sure you have way more than that. Top 10 in no specific order. Give me your first one. What would you recommend to young lawyers or even older lawyers now stuck at home, how they could leverage LinkedIn?
Yeah, beautiful. I would love to share. Definitely got 10 tips in the head here. Before I even start, I want to address something that you said about checking out other marketing companies and them having no presence on LinkedIn. Like, that's a big part. That's a big tip right there. It's just there's no competition on LinkedIn, and it drives me bonkers. I don't understand. I meet marketers all the time. They have these big companies. They do Facebook ad campaigns. They do everything, but they don't do anything on LinkedIn, and it drives me crazy. I'm like, this is where the money is. this is where people are in a business mindset to make decisions to be receptive to your offer. And I truly think that just because LinkedIn is not as advanced of a social media platform or not as built out with the features like Facebook or Instagram, it's just seen as not cool and people are turned off from it. Like, I don't want to do LinkedIn marketing. What are you talking about? So that alone right there is something that should stand out to you. Look, there's no competition on LinkedIn. There's a reason that I didn't take everything I learned on Facebook and grew a Facebook page. I could have, like, don't get me wrong. I definitely still could have invested in growing a Facebook page. Maybe I'd have a bigger presence there than I do today. But it was so oversaturated and competitive by the time I got into Facebook that it was difficult to grow. That is not the case on LinkedIn. So I just want to start with tip number one. There's no competition. You need to get on this platform because the views will never be cheaper. And it's your target market. If you're in B2B, this is your audience right here on LinkedIn. So definitely take advantage now, because I do think the LinkedIn bubble is going to pop and more people are going to start realizing it is cool. You know what? It is cool to be on the platform that has the most money and do marketing there and do it successfully. So I'm going to get into, I wrote down 10 tips here, actually.
All right, wait, before you go to number two,
Yeah.
let me just talk about that real quick, because I couldn't agree more.
Yeah.
That's why I love LinkedIn. I like to do things that other people aren't doing. And it's hard to do that. There's so many lawyers going to conferences. And if you go to a conference with 20,000 people, and 75% are lawyers, 25% are your leads or your clients, how do you get to them? It's fighting. It's like, it's just a bad ratio. Social media, especially LinkedIn, if you are, I'm hoping my audience are claims adjusters, risk managers, general counsel, and if that's your target, if that's who you want to network with, then B2B is your market, which means LinkedIn is your market. So
yes.
I totally agree.
And you doing the videos consistently and showing up as like a lawyer influencer. When you show up to those conferences, you now have a leg up on everyone else. Yeah. Because people know you and then they'll approach you like, wait, I know this Patricia woman, and boom, that like makes you stand out and have actually, it's more effective when you go to those conferences now, is what I've learned. So, and
I haven't been to one since I really put fuel on my LinkedIn presence, because then Corona hit and I've been shut down.
Right.
But
we're all shut down right now, Trisha. We're all shut down. Yeah.
All right. So what's your number two tip?
Okay. So headline. So the headline on LinkedIn is literally what shows up right underneath your name on your profile. And you can actually see the headline a little bit throughout the platform. Like when you comment on people's posts, that is the little bit of text that's still visible. And most people on LinkedIn are actually using their headline very inefficiently. I would say that the number one thing you want, key takeaway in your LinkedIn headline, is who do you help and how do you do it? So that your target market, when they see the headline, can automatically go, this is the person that solves my problem. I see it now. I understand clearly this is the person who solves my problem. So instead of saying, I was Forbes 30 under 30, or like, boasting about all your flashy accomplishments, that's like most pages on LinkedIn. When you go and the first thing under their name is like their awards. It's like them boasting about like something, which is cool. I get it. Like, be proud of those things, but you have a whole summary on your profile to get into that. Your headline needs to effectively communicate to your target market what it is you do and that you're the one to help them. So I always give the formula, I help X accomplish Y using Z. So that's your headline. I help X, your target market, accomplish Y, the problem you solve, just be direct, using Z. And the last part's almost even optional, using Z being the mechanism, maybe something they hate. Like, I help people create video content on LinkedIn that attracts their target market and grows their business without sucking up too much time or breaking the bank, something like that. So you can also touch on their pain points somewhat. But a lot of people in marketing even, they neglect how simple the messaging has to be. They want to be fancy. They want to be creative. They want to be like artsy in the way they describe their service. Don't do that. Humans are trying to conserve calories. They just want to intake information easily. And if you make it hard for them to consume what it is you do, and they have to go to your profile and really sort through your whole summary and start to figure out like, wait, so what do they do? Like exactly though, that's not good. That's a turnoff for you. You're missing your target market. So number one, headline, edit your headline. Make sure it just says clearly what it is you do And you will actually see way more results on LinkedIn just from that move alone.
And let me ground that in attorneys. So most attorneys'
Yes.
profiles are attorney or partner or coverage lawyer, or, you know, some of the type of law that they practice. That's the vast majority of what you see. And you're saying, don't do that. I mean, you want to put attorney in your heading, but it could be attorney and then space.
Who do you
or whatever.
help? Yeah. Who do you typically help? Who's your clientele? That needs to be in your headline right away, because you just want these people that are your target market, when they land on your profile, to reach out to you for business.
Yes. And I think that's a good exercise too. In working on your profile, then you get to figure out who your target client is, because a lot of lawyers don't go through that mental exercise.
Right.
And that will help you do that. So that's a great tip. All right. Number three.
Awesome. Number 3. Okay. So your cover photo. This is another great place to advertise your services. So I always say, in the content that you create, the organic video content that's going to hit the feed, and we'll get into that in a little bit. You don't want to be selly. You don't want to be asking for anything. You don't want to have hard CTAs back to your business, like, call me today because I'm the best lawyer.
CTA, minor lawyers.
Yes. A call to action. So when I say a hard call to action, I'm typically referring to back to your business. A hard call to action would be, call me for LinkedIn video help. A healthy CTA or call to action is something more like, what do you think about this topic? Share your opinion in the comments below, to just bait engagement rather than try to ask for business. So that's your content. Like I said, we'll get into that in a second. But the cover photo, also, when people land on your LinkedIn profile, now you do want to be selly. Like, your LinkedIn profile should be an ad, not your content, not what you're putting out in the feed, because that's not valuable and everyone's going to scroll past it. But if you can make your profile so optimized and so clearly explaining what it is you do and who you help and how to reach out to you, that is how you're going to convert. The people are going to land on your profile from your valuable content in the feed. Who was this person just providing me value just now? I'm going to click back. Whoa, I've actually been looking for this exact attorney for this thing. I'm going to reach out to this person. Boom. So the cover photo, I would say, it's another place to just rewrite your headline again. You could go into more detail, get a graphic designer to list some bullet points around more of what you do, and also use your cover photo to have some sort of call to action. This is more a hard call to action back to your business. How can they get in touch with you? How can they get on the email list? What's your phone number that they can call? Anything that you can direct them off the platform to is a really good thing to add into your LinkedIn cover photo.
And so when you're talking about the photo, you're talking about your physical face, and then the background, the banner, the LinkedIn banner too.
Yep, the banner is the cover photo. Your actual photo is important as well. Make sure you just have like a clean cut professional photo. This isn't Tinder here, not Tinder here.
Not yet, at least. Who knows?
Yeah.
Who knows
Oh boy. I don't know if Microsoft will allow it.
So the banner behind the photo is where you're talking about making sure that that's optimized, and not just the standard blue LinkedIn that everybody goes to. And
Exactly. I know. Yes. And you can hire someone for a one-time job to create it for you. Maybe even add in a picture of you to the cover photo on site. So Patricia, if you're a lawyer, it'd be super relevant to have in the cover photo somewhere like a picture of you in court, looking badass, doing your thing, like doing your lawyer thing. So that's also important as well.
All right. I like that idea, having me looking a badass, right?
Right. I'm official. I'm not just on social media. Here's me in the court. Okay. This is real.
And then for people who don't know how to hire or can't hire or don't have the money to hire, and it's not that expensive to hire, but if you don't, there's services like Canva or stuff that you can do a free background, and you can go in and tweak it, at least until you think you're ready to hire somebody. But
yes, exactly. And thank you for saying that. I do have clients who've done it themselves in Canva. Exactly is what they recommend. So,
okay. All right. Number 4, what's the number 4 tip that you'd give somebody?
Create content every week. Don't make it hard on yourself. If you truly feel you can only commit to one piece of content per week, start with that, because the most important thing is consistency. So that's kind of my are we on number 4 now? Is that what I'm on?
Yes, we're number 4.
That's kind of what I'm feeling for number 4 is like consistency, but I want to talk about the content a little bit. So you want to release content in which you are just giving away free advice. Now, I focus on video. That's my expertise. That's my specialty. That's what I majored in, I'm a college dropout, but I joke, I majored in video marketing. So that is what I recommend, because A, you connect more as a human on video as opposed to other mediums. And B, again, less competition on LinkedIn with video. So if you can do video, I recommend it. But if not, even just giving away free advice in a text post, in an article form, in a picture, anything that would make your target market's life easier is where you want to frame your content around. So if you're a lawyer, maybe a big pain point for your target market is even just like finding a good lawyer. And I don't know a ton about your industry, Trisha, so
That's all right.
bear with me here.
I'll ground it, whatever
Okay,
I can.
awesome. But like if you released a video, for example, like 5 tips on how to find the right litigation lawyer for you, or whatever it is, that is going to not only get your target market's attention and someone who's in the mindset already looking for this, but B, it's going to establish trust with them, because you're just giving away free value and not asking for anything. And if you can do that once a week, you will start to garner more of those views back on your profile. And like I said, now your profile is optimized for conversions, but the organic content hitting the feed consistently is what's really important. I think someone said recently, it's like 17 times now you need to be exposed to something before you pursue it, like an ad on Facebook, and it's true. I'll see an ad like many, many times before I'm finally like, you know what? I think I am going to check this out. So stay consistent and don't be hard on yourself in the beginning with like, I'm going to do it every day, because then you might just not stay consistent and then feel badly about yourself and then give up completely. So make it easy on yourself. Start to attract the leads and the revenue slowly so that you can maintain it and keep up with your value adding content, and then ramp up over time. Okay, now I'm ready for 2 a week. Okay, now I'm ready for 3 a week. But just be consistent if you are going to start, and always frame your content around how can I provide the most value here.
So there's a lot that I want to unpack from that. So we might spend a little bit more on number 4.
Okay.
One, I just want to make a point. I 100% agree with you about the context. That's something we learn in the legal world, is you got to meet with your prospective client 7 to 10 times before they'll even consider doing business with you.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So it's the same thing. And what social media does, it allows you to do that from home to some extent, right? You do have to meet them eventually, or it's nice to meet the people eventually, but most of our clients are not local. I'm not going to lunch right down the street. I'm getting on an airplane and I'm flying to meet people. And how many times can I do that in a year, right? But I can get on social media and I can make those connections in a different, more meaningful way. So that's number 1. Yes. Number 2, I want to unpack this idea of fear, that lawyers are afraid to put themselves out there, afraid of being wrong or turning somebody off. What do you tell your clients that come to you with those fears of putting content out that might turn somebody off?
I would say you will be wrong.
Yeah.
You will be wrong sometimes. That is a factor of life. I mean, you do have to understand there is a huge epidemic in the business world, especially in women, a lot of the women I work with imposter syndrome. Like, people just don't have confidence in the expertise that they've cultivated over the years. And it's so silly. It's like, you have the value to provide, but there's always that underlying fear. It's a human conditioning, that fear of, what if I'm wrong? What if I'm going to be judged? What if I'm going to be not liked? Just go with the 90%. Look, do you think that 90% of the time, maybe just 80% of the time, you're probably right with what you're talking about with this lawyer stuff and the industry you're in with it? I think most people would say, yeah, I'm 80. Could I get a B+ on a test in my industry right now? Yeah, you probably can. But you still have to consider there's a little opening for being wrong, for being controversial, for being judged, for people not liking you. That is always going to be there. That is a human element. And when people fall victim to the 15% of but I can't be perfect all the time, they're missing out on giving away 85% of killer value content all the time. They're missing out on improving the lives of 8.5 out of 10 people on social media through the internet, all because they're scared of the 1.5 people who aren't going to like them or are going to disagree with what they're going to say. So, I think it's just an element of life that we have to get over. You are going to be wrong. You are going to fail. It's going to happen. And start to build that muscle of just knowing you will be okay when that occurs, and you will get through it. And hey, most of the time you are providing value because you're an expert in your industry. So show up and you'll start to see the validation of all the people that you help as well. And that'll help you.
And I love that. And it's really no different than if you go into a room and you're a speaker with 100, 200 people, 10,000 people. I don't know what your audience looks like, but if you go into a room and you're speaking, it's the same thing. Not everyone's going to jive with you. Not everyone's going to like you, but the vast majority probably will agree with you or will walk away learning something. And that's, if you can accept that you're going to be wrong and you're not going to be liked by everybody and just move on past that, I think that would be huge.
And I'll even take it a step further and say, and every time you are wrong, let's say you did mess up a piece of content, you didn't do your fact checking, you were wrong, that is an opportunity for you to grow. That is an opportunity for you to learn something. That's why all these big entrepreneurs, Gary Vee, they say like, fail, fail, fail. This is how we learn, is through the mistakes. I learned from my haters. When people comment on my posts and they're dissing me and they're calling me out on what they think is wrong with me, I really try to consider it. Like, is anything they're saying coming from a level of truth? And is that why I'm actually triggered right now? So 90% of the time you're providing value, you're making people's lives easier. That's going to validate you, fuel you more. And that is going to be what you come out with, is like that confidence of like, wow, I can really help a lot of people. I see that now. But the 10% or the 15% even, that's where you learn and that's where you grow and that's where you thrive. Maybe you have to recant a video and go back and say, I am so sorry, I didn't check my facts. And to everyone who watched the last video, I tagged you all in this one to let you know this is actually what I found out. I'm going back on what I said. I mean, nobody does that. Like nobody wants to admit, but it's so beautiful. If you can do it, you open up the door for healing for not only yourself, but for others. And I think that's just a silly, silly thing that us humans, we're all still in our childlike self. Like we need to get past that. You need to understand that not everyone is going to like you, but if you're an expert in your industry, which you probably are, if you're on LinkedIn, you're taking this seriously, you've been in it for years, 90% of the time, all you're going to be doing is making people's lives easier. So focus on that.
Yeah. And I think that's such an important lesson for lawyers too, who always want to be right. We're always right. We're never wrong. But to show that vulnerability and admit when you make a mistake is powerful, because like you said, nobody does that.
Yes. Especially not on LinkedIn.
Especially not on LinkedIn.
Scared. Yeah.
The last thing on number 4, I just wanted to unpack of what you said was the type of content to deliver. And it's really about giving value and not talking about yourself. Like there's a lot of lawyers saying, oh, I'm a super lawyer. I've been nominated for this award. Check out my trial win. There's a lot of that on LinkedIn. But what you're saying is think about what your client wants, what information would be helpful for them, either on a micro level in their profession or maybe even on a macro level, but it's to give, right? I mean, that's the kind of content you want, is the kind that gives and not let me put a spotlight on me.
Exactly. Yep. And that's a big issue on LinkedIn. A lot of people really think that content is like ads, releasing information about what they do, who they help. Now, again, that's all important to have clearly stated on your profile, but the people that grow are the people that, like, think about who you're attracted to on social media. Are they just talking about themselves? Are they like, no, it's probably like a funny influencer who makes hilarious skits that provides you value. Somebody who's sharing, tips on how to be more confident, personal development hacks to improve your business. Those are always going to be pages that are just giving for the audience. And sometimes we forget to reverse engineer it for our own brand. So it's a really good point, Trisha.
And I think, for lawyers, it's unlearning what you've been taught. When I was a young lawyer, it was the marketing teachings that were passed down to me was selling yourself. I think that's a problem ingrained in I don't know, but just
it's not. It's not marketing. It's sales.
Yeah,
that's the difference. It's sales. That's not marketing.
And we need to put that hat off. Take our sales hat off. Put it inside and just give value. And posting at least once a week and I think most lawyers can do way more than that, but at least just once a week. And whether it's to share an article or, this is a case that came up that you might find interesting or whatever it is organically, if you just start and it gets easier. So
it really does get easier. It's like riding a bike, guys. The first time is the hardest.
Yeah.
As soon as you get those training wheels off, you're like, whoo, I'm flying.
All right. Number 5, what's your 5th tip?
Have a hashtag. So use hashtags on LinkedIn They are getting more popular. So if you're familiar with platforms like Twitter, Instagram, essentially a hashtag itself is like its own blog. So you can follow the hashtag health. If you're a fitness influencer and you're on Instagram, you're probably following hashtag health. And there's so many followers following that hashtag that when you include that hashtag on your post, it attracts all those people to your post. It's just an opportunity for your post to show up in more places. So on LinkedIn, to see how many people are following a hashtag, you just click on it. Like I clicked on, digital marketing hashtag. That's relevant to what I sell. And wow, there's like 27 million people on LinkedIn following that. I mean, that's a lot for how many people are on LinkedIn, how many people are following that hashtag. That's a lot. So I try to include that in all my posts. But then also have a hashtag like for your personal brand. So I have hashtag Shay Shine. It's included on all my posts, and it's just an opportunity for people to follow my content in one other place. And if you click on hashtag Shay Shine now, there's like a whole feed of my content. So don't underestimate hashtags. Just another simple way to get your content out there and in more places on LinkedIn.
And I struggle with this. I've been trying to figure out my hashtag, and I haven't come up with one. I will. Give me about another couple weeks, and I'll figure it out. But I
didn't come up with it right away either.
Okay.
I didn't have it in the beginning. I want to say like a couple months in, I started adding it. So you're fine. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I did see one lawyer I know who she's just a badass on LinkedIn. She is a lawyer, risk manager, and she really is in the trucking freight industry. And she's a hashtag called Mad Gains, which is Gains is her last name. And Mad
that's
Gains.
awesome.
And
I love that.
I saw it yesterday or 2 days ago, and I put a comment in one of her posts. I'm like, this is awesome. I love it. But no one's doing that either. So as you figure out your brand, your personal brand, and who you are on LinkedIn, I think it will naturally come. So that's a great tip. Hashtag it.
Yeah. Hashtag it up.
And then, all right. So number 6, what's your number 6 tip?
Have a business page. So this is a big one I've been preaching more and more lately. I believe that eventually the algorithm will switch on LinkedIn to really favor business pages over personal pages. So right now, a lot of my coaching, I coach people on how to build their personal brand, which I mean is their business on LinkedIn. It all ties back. But that is due to the algorithm actually allowing more people to see content from a personal page. It's just easier to navigate a personal page at this point in time. The business pages aren't fully built out, but they are growing. I am getting more and more engagement on my business page. So just start one. And same with what I said about the consistency with the content. Have a goal. Like I'm going to post on my business page once a week. Share the content from your business page to your personal page with a CTA to follow. Follow Lawyers Today. I'm going to make up corny lawyer names on this episode. Follow Lawyers Today for more like lawyer content, and really have all your niche business content there. Because I know I've talked to you offline about this, Trisha, about even though it's for my business on LinkedIn, I release a lot of personal content. I release a lot of general business advice. It's not all digital marketing because it's also Shay Rowbottom, and it's also my personal brand, which I plan to branch out and have businesses in a lot of different industries. But for my business page, Shay Rowbottom Marketing, that's where people can go and be sure to go to only find like my video marketing tips and anything that's relevant to my LinkedIn video bootcamp, to my agency services, and everything that I'm selling and helping professionals with on LinkedIn. So keep that in mind as well. Really niche down on your business page, and you can be a little more broad, a little more playful on your personal brand on LinkedIn, but definitely share it and just do something to start to build up a business page there, because I do believe those will hold more weight in the future.
And they're hard to grow. I've been growing ours for about 6 months and just now starting to see a little traction, but it takes effort.
It does take time. Yeah.
Every day. And I would say, that your advice definitely speaks to the law firm leaders that don't have one. But I would also add to the younger associate that maybe doesn't have a business, but you can offer to help your law firm with their LinkedIn page and make sure that you get involved with that. So look at your law firm's business page and see what they're doing. Do they have one, first of all? And if they don't, you need to talk to your law firm leaders and get one up and running. If they do have one, look at how many followers they have. The vast majority of mid-sized to small law firms either don't have a page on LinkedIn or their page has 10 followers. Right. So see what you can do. Apply some of this advice that Shay's giving you, and go to your HR person or IT person, whoever's running your marketing, and ask them, let me take over the LinkedIn business page. I can help you. And especially since you may have a lot of time in the next couple months, this is a great time to do that.
Yes. True.
All right. So number 7, what's your number 7 tip?
Headlines. This should have been my number 1 tip, Trisha, is headlines.
You want to rework
That's what I
them?
say. Everything is headline. Everything is a headline. That's what I studied on Facebook all those years. I mean, I literally wrote thousands of headlines. It is so important on social media that you grab people in the first couple seconds. So don't introduce yourself at the start of your video. Just have a headline that's relevant to the topic that you're about to cover so that people can make an educated decision right away in those first 3 seconds when they're scrolling on the feed. Is this a piece of content I want to invest in or not? Same with your copy, the written part, have a headline. I truly believe that when I'm coaching people and they start showing me their content and they're like, why did this video do good and this one not? Well, okay, but why is this post over here performing, this one not? Like almost always I can break it down to the headline. Always. You need to have good headlines. And if you feel like you can't write headlines, you can outsource that. Hey, copywriters are a dime a dozen a day, but on social media, that really is key, especially on a platform like LinkedIn where it's all newsfeed driven. People aren't really going to people's LinkedIn pages to watch a library of content because LinkedIn doesn't make it easy to do that. So everything that you're doing needs to be optimized for the newsfeed. And the best way to stand out, to break out of the noise, to beat your competition is to have catchy, relevant headlines to the topic you're about to cover in that piece of content. So always take a moment to consider before you hit publish, is this headline going to grab attention and is it relevant to the topic at hand?
And I love that and you have to look at it from the user's experience, which is what are they seeing? Not where you're writing, what are they seeing? And as they scroll through, what's going to make them stop? You're telling me your name is not going to make them stop,
no.
But seeing something catchy or interesting or just different is going to make them stop. And that's in the video titles. And like you said, the written copy too, if you look at it from the user's perspective, they only see like the top 3 lines, right? And they have that little see more button, or the see more click. So that's what you got to focus on. You want them to click on it. So how do you get them to do that? Is that those first 3 lines are the most valuable real estate in your post?
It is, yeah. You just want to build intrigue. So whatever line is going to be right before the see more button, think about, I want to give them a clue as to what the takeaway is here without giving it so that they click on see more. And then they'll read down, read the whole copy, space out your copy so it's easy to consume, not just one fat paragraph. And that is what we call slippery script writing, and is like a great way to just slide people into your content and be honest. You're just giving them honest value right away. Like, hey, this is the topic I'm covering. It's not clickbait. It's just a good, solid, relevant headline to what they're about to get out of this piece of content.
And then for people that are focusing on the video headlines, I mean, if people are going to actually take the step and do a video, do you recommend they script that headline so that when they film it?
Yeah.
Okay.
So even I script all my videos now, but even in the beginning when I just shot them on the fly, like, oh, I have a interesting topic to talk about right now. I'm going to whip out my cell phone and film it. I always stopped for a minute to consider, what is my headline though? What is my opening line? And this was actually point number 8, I was going to say.
Okay. Oh, good. We're on to 8. Yay.
Yeah. And my CTA. So before I even hit record, I might have freestyled the video a little bit and winged it on the fly. But before I even hit record, I knew my headline going into it, and I knew what my call to action was going to be at the end. So if my headline was like, I struggle with delegating in the workplace, can anyone relate to this? That actually has a CTA in the headline. But that's a great way to draw people in, because a lot of people struggle with being able to delegate, letting go of control in their business. So I knew going into it that would be my headline, and I knew at the end of the body of my video, I would say, does anyone else struggle with workplace delegation? How do you get past it? Share in the comments below. So always have a CTA at the end of your videos. It's so important on LinkedIn to create community. And how do you do that? You create conversation in the comments. You don't ask, you don't get. So ask at the end of your video, what do you think about this topic? Comment down below. Comments drive the algorithm, which goes back to what I said before about not having a hard CTA back to your business, because you're just wasting an opportunity to get more comments. If you say, call me today for business at the end of every video, yeah, you might get a few people who reach out, but you're actually just missing out on reaching way more people because you neglected your comments and you didn't ask people to engage in the comments, which comments put the piece of content into more and more feeds so more and more people can see your message, so more and more people can click back to your profile. And when they click back to your profile, boom, hey, it's clearly optimized, says what you do. And when your target market happens to be the one clicking back to it, now they're going to reach out to you for business. So you actually get more business. I have some people challenge me on this. They're like, no, I need to say all the time, reach out to me for business, reach out to me for business. I'm like, okay, well, you're just not going to grow as much. You're not going to, it's a numbers game. I mean, that's what it is. It's literally a numbers game. Shay, how are you doing this? I go viral. It's like, people say like, oh, virality is just vanity. It's like, no, it's not at all. It's a numbers game. If I can get 10,000 people to land on my LinkedIn profile in one day, I don't care if 9,000 of them aren't my target market. I just got 1,000 of my target market to land on my profile. So that's the missing key that a lot of people don't realize. So at the end of every video, and do the same thing in your copy, write the CTA at the end of your copy as well, but always ask the users to engage with your post and share their thoughts in the comments, and that will help drive your post forward as well.
I love that. And I think so few lawyers do that. They just post maybe they're being having original content, right? But they are not trying to engage their network. And that is something that I sometimes I forget, but I have like a checklist on my post, and that's one of them that I have is one is the top 3 lines, but then is what is my call to action? What am I asking people to comment about? What do I want? What kind of conversation do I want to start? And I can definitely tell a difference. The ones that I have not asked for comments are much lower engagement, which means much lower views than the ones that I do. So
exactly.
I think that's great.
Yep.
All right. So number 9, what's your number 9 tip?
And okay, so speaking of comments, you really want to reply to your own comments. So this goes back to creating engagement and community on your blog. Like, people are more likely to come back and comment again and continue to help support you and drive your post forward if they see you as a real human. So if you put a post out there and you're like, yeah, I'm getting comments, but you're not taking the time to actively reply to all those comments, you're actually going to lose fans. And this is so important. This is especially what I attribute a lot of my success on LinkedIn too in the beginning is I replied to every comment. I actually have a team to help me do it now, and they know me and my brand and what our value system is so that they can reply on my behalf and we can get to more people. But in the beginning, I literally personally replied to every single comment on my posts, answering questions about digital marketing, replying to people's, oh, can you give feedback on my headline? I was just giving more value in the comments. And if you reply to a comment, you can increase the chance of the original commenter coming back again to comment again, which also helps in the algorithm in the LinkedIn feed. So there's many, many reasons you should reply to your own comments. It really does help the algorithm on LinkedIn. It gets people to see you as a real person, respect you, and come back to comment again in the future. So be sure you're replying to comments as much as you can and building that community around your posts, even if it's just a thank you. Even if you can just reply, thanks, Dan. Seriously, that's it. Thanks for the comment. That goes a long way on LinkedIn.
And I think that, again, I'm going to say probably say this after every tip. I love that because it is a lot of people aren't doing that. And it's not because they don't want to, they just don't think it's necessary. And in fact, it's like someone leaving you a message and then you're not calling them back. You have to engage with them. And the more, that's how I found is how one thing I've learned from you more than anything is you need to engage with the people engaging with you.
Yes.
And you don't just put up a post and leave it alone. You have to nurture it.
Mm-hmm.
And in order to build the relationships online, you need to be talking to those people. So
yes, I love it. And if you have competitors who are also posting content consistently and they're not replying to their comments, that's an in for you to go on their post, hijack their post, and reply to all the comments, answering the lawyer questions that they won't answer. And now this lawyer comes and is answering for them, and people are like, wait a minute, this lawyer is like helping me more than the original poster. I'm going to go to their profile. So keep that in mind as well. Like, if I don't reply to the digital marketing questions on my post, maybe some other digital marketer will. And I'll be like, oh no, like Shay and her team didn't show up for this person. So keep that in mind as well. Okay. Oh, and that actually leads to my final tip. If you're ready, Trisha.
I'm ready. Go.
All right.
Give it to me.
Connect with people who will engage with your content. So I want to break this down. It's threefold. You do want to connect with your target market on LinkedIn. It is important to build an audience of people that could potentially buy from you down the line. I'll never deny that. And I built my audience that way. But You also just want to connect with people who are likely to engage the topics you post on. And a lot of people don't realize this. You got to think a little outside the box. That is your competitors. So I'm connected to a ton of digital marketers, a ton of video geeks, a ton of content creators, creative types, because I know that they also are in this industry. And when I post about it, they're very likely to have something to say. So they're likely to engage with my content. And LinkedIn always rolls your content out first to your first connections. So this is why you want to be connected to those people. Even if they're your competitors and it seems sketchy, they're probably going to engage with your posts. Everyone's so self-righteous about their own industry. You know, they'll have something to say about your topics if it's the same, along the same lines of what they do. And then when they do comment, they break your post out into the feed of their connection base on LinkedIn, which is also very likely your target market. So it's a win-win-win. Connect with anyone who will engage your content, anyone in your industry. Maybe it's a direct competitor, maybe somewhat of a similar industry, not quite, but your content would still be relevant to them. Connect, build up your connection base, and then also just fans. You know, I have people who aren't in digital marketing, will never buy from me. Maybe they're like a nurse, but they just love me and they come to and comment on every single post. Okay, you might think like logically this person has no relevance to me, I'm not going to connect with them. If they are that loyal of a fan, even if you feel like they're irrelevant in all the other areas, they're commenting on every post, make them a first connection. Because when your content rolls out to your first connections, you want the highest percentage possible of that first rollout LinkedIn gives it to engage. That reads in the algorithm as, oh, this piece of content's valuable right away. We're going to keep rolling it out. And that's how it eventually gets to your second and your third connections as well.
And I'm going to dive a little bit more into some questions I have for you after the top 10, but I do want to dive into that because I think for lawyers, that's so important. You can connect with other lawyers, especially lawyers in other states that actually aren't your competitors. Like I practice in Pennsylvania, New Jersey, and I have a lot of connections with lawyers outside in other states, and we're actually complementary. And, you know, a bunch of people in Kentucky and Louisiana, they would never practice in Pennsylvania. So it's actually
that's perfect. I love that.
It's perfect.
Yes.
So we have a lot, and even in Pennsylvania, I have a lot of lawyers that I'm connected with, and we comment on each other's stuff. So lawyers, absolutely, if you're a young lawyer, you should be reaching out and connecting with everybody that you know, first of all, and then all of the lawyers that you know, and start to seek out other lawyer influencers on LinkedIn and connect with them and just start engaging with them.
Right.
And
create a pod. Yeah. If you're like completely new to LinkedIn, you have no traction, not a lot of connections, create an engagement group with all these lawyers, all these people who have relevant content. Just ask, hey, if I put out a post, can I ask for your engagement? And in exchange, every time you post, I'll engage. Like that's just marketing 101 growing on any social media platform. If you're new and you really just need to break out of the noise and you have no comments, get your mom to comment. Like literally just anyone commenting will help just kind of break you out of that like dead zone. I know I did. My profile was completely dead when I started, but the original LinkedIn marketer that I hired to teach me a little bit more about LinkedIn, he had a group of people that was willing to engage with my post starting out. And I was like, oh, thank you so much. He's like, yeah, all you have to do is engage back on their stuff. I'm like, okay, great. And we were all video marketers. And we were all like, so it was perfect because I liked their content a lot as well.
So as we've wrapped up number 10, you're posting once a week. These young lawyers are going to post something original once a week. They're going to give us their thoughts their thoughts. And then they are going to see if they can get engagement on that. And when they get engagement on that, they're going to comment to the comments. They're going to like the comments. They're going to make sure their headline is optimized on that. Written copy, and if you're doing video on the copy, and that should get you started. If you're doing that once a week and you do it for 6 months, I would love for you to compare where you start. Take a picture of your phone where you start and make it deliberate, especially since you're probably going to be quarantined in 6 months anyway.
Yes, do it. Write a recommendation on Shay's LinkedIn with your results when you do it. Thank you very much.
So let me just pick your brain, and this really has to do with the LinkedIn algorithm, because I don't think anybody a lot of people in my industry don't understand the LinkedIn algorithm,
right?
Because they're just posting like at midnight, and they're not really engaging or whatever it may be. Can you give the LinkedIn algorithm 101 explanation of what's going on there?
Yeah, absolutely. So the algorithm on all social media platforms is somewhat the same. I mean, I always say social media is free. It's free to market on. What you're paying in is value. So you will get back what you give, what you pay the platform in value and in positive user experience. So this is what the algorithm is doing on LinkedIn. It's you upload a piece of content, it's going to roll it out to your first connections, but it's only going to roll it out to a percentage of your audience. So I'm just going to use arbitrary numbers to keep it simple. Let's say you have 100 connections. The LinkedIn algorithm chooses a percentage of that to show your content to when you first publish. So maybe 10% of 100 is 10 people that they're going to show that video to. Then based on the percentage that engage, let's say 5 out of 10 people that see it right away engage, LinkedIn is going to read that as, oh wow, 50% of people engaged with this. This is like a really valuable piece of content. We're going to now roll it out to the next wave and make that even bigger. We're going to roll it out to, now 30 of those 100 people. Now let's see what percentage of these 30% engage. If it's another 50%, they're just going to keep going. And the whole trajectory of your piece of content that day is based on that slow roll out. And then eventually they roll it out to your second and third connections, but that comes later. So actually, when you talk about viral content, that is what viral content is. All viral content is that first 10% that the algorithm is naturally going to show it to. It's just like the standard, whatever the average, let's say, for your page and your personal algorithm. Viral content is when 100% of the 10% engage with it. Then the platform's like, whoa, like literally everyone we just showed this to engage. Okay, roll it out more. And then when you roll it out to, now let's say they rolled it out to 50 of the 100 because it was really successful in the first round. Now if 50 of the 50 again engage, it's going to be like, whoa, and it's going to just open it and open it and open it until eventually the platform just gives up and literally shows it to everybody. That's what viral content is. So that's why it's also important to get engagement within the first hour, like right away when you post. Like if you can have people engage right away, it kind of hacks the algorithm to show like, oh, this is really valuable right away. But that's how the algorithm works. So pay in value, always think about what's the most valuable, what could I just be giving the audience that they're going to love, that's going to make their life easier, that's going to make them smile, that's going to inspire them, that's going to make them laugh, anything that's valuable, and the algorithm will reward that.
And that whole purpose of knowing the algorithm, this is the example that I use when I talk to people. It's if you were going to go to speak an event, you're not just going to walk in there unprepared. You're not going to know, is there a mic? Is it do I have speakers with me? Am I on a podium? How many people are in there? What's the format? You're going to ask all of those questions. And that's what the LinkedIn algorithm is in my mind on social media. It's those questions. You got to know what structure you're about to come into, what your content's going to be subject to. So if you know the algorithm, then it helps you figure out, all right, I should probably post not at midnight when everyone's asleep.
Oh yeah. But that's the other thing I didn't mention is like the timing on LinkedIn. I mean, LinkedIn is big in Australia too, so it's like not totally consistent. Like it does depend where you are and where your industry is, or where your target market is. But for me personally, I found like weekday mornings, like EST time for me is the best. Don't post at midnight.
Yeah.
Because I don't have enough connections in Singapore right now to be posting at midnight. So,
well, you probably do, but I would say we don't. I mean, the lawyers don't. Like most of ours are North America, right?
Yeah. And just test too. Yeah. Just track every time you post and you'll start to pick up a pattern. Because I know for me, in the beginning, I actually posted at the end of the workday. I post every day at 5. It did okay. Like people are still on LinkedIn, but once I started posting in the morning and comparing the data, I was like, oh, I got to switch to the morning. Yeah.
Well, I love that. And I'm just going to wrap up with a couple of runners up, and I'm going to offer my number 11, and then I'm going to throw it to you.
What a fancy surprise, Trisha, coming in with number 11. All right.
Number 11, and then I'm going to throw it to you for number 12. So I'll give you a heads up so you can think of it. Number 11, I would say if you're a lawyer and you aren't comfortable yet in putting up your original content, just go on LinkedIn and give, comment, and give like it's your job to give, and support other people. And if you see a post that you find interesting, drop a like and a comment. Don't just like and move on. Tell people what you think, and do that religiously. Yes. Take a time in the morning, maybe when you're having coffee, take an hour and go on the feed and look for lawyers and other claims adjusters or risk managers or insurance companies, whoever it is that you're doing, and just give. And if you do that consistently, they will start to know you, and they will give when you start to post. And I found that's one thing that helped me is when you and I started working together, I struggled to find other people. And then I eventually did. And then I just constantly comment on them because they
Yes.
actually are interesting posts and I do want to support them.
Yes.
So
It's another place to show up. Like literally, I've gained many followers from top comments on LinkedIn. If you can hit a post like from an influencer that you know all of their posts kind of blow up, if you can actually watch their page and be the first one to comment and say something valuable, maybe it's like a lawyer influencer and you're the first one to comment something valuable, something, flexing your expertise, you're more likely to be top comment because everyone's going to see that first and like it. That's also a great way to get traction on your page and new followers on your page as people see you in the top comments.
And all right, so what's your number 12? And then we'll start to wrap this up.
Number 12. Oh gosh. We covered so much.
I know. It could be just
tag people too.
Okay.
Yeah. Tagging on LinkedIn's big. If you can, tag a list of industry lawyers, people that your content would be relevant to, just tag them in the comments and say, what do you guys think about this topic? That's another great way for breaking your content out into more feeds and gaining new connections.
I love it.
Yay.
So in wrapping up, I'll have to say, like, for me personally, I look at it, and I didn't see this when I first started doing it, but I see it now, is I look at the analytics of who's looking at my post. And conservatively, I get to about 50 people a day that are specific leads for me, claims adjusters, risk managers, general counsel.
Wow.
And that's consistently every day.
That's
50
amazing,
people.
Trisha. I'm so happy for you. Yes.
And I'm like, could I do that in person? I would be flying everywhere. I couldn't do it 5 days a week, that's for sure. But I'd be flying everywhere. I'd never have a family. I'd be 50 million pounds because I would be eating on the go all the time. Like, to be able to have that, to still network and have 50 people that you are looking to build a relationship with, see what you're doing and get to know you.
Yes.
That is the power of social media and LinkedIn.
The power of the internet, the age we live in. Bring it on, Corona. We're fine. We're fine. No, I'm just kidding. I know it's a serious virus. I do want it to end. But it is. It's making everything more digital. It's actually good for me. It's been good for my business.
I bet you're blowing up right now, right?
A little bit. Yeah. It's been really supportive. I'm curious to see how this will all shake out because so many people are like forced to introspect during this time. So many people either got laid off, have to work from home. I feel like it's raising consciousness. It's allowing people to really think about like, what is this like world we've created, this economy, like we created, we can just turn it off. We can freeze rent. We can, you know what I mean? It's kind of like making us realize that a lot of life is a facade, which a lot of my personal content, I talk about spirituality and raising the vibration of humanity and all of that. But it's also like people maybe questioning what they're doing at their job. Do I even like my job? I'm working from home now. I got my kid. My family's here. It's a different dynamic. Like, could I be doing something different with my life? So that's the bright side of this virus. I see it as shaking things up. It's unfortunate that the hospitals are in the situations they are with all these people getting sick and a lot of people are dying, mainly old people, but people are dying. But on the other side of it is growth. It's almost like on a macro level, an example of what I explained before about, I actually used like failure and being wrong, but it's kind of like tragedy, like death. This makes us grow. This is what helps us as humans thrive and grow. So if you're feeling down about the virus, if your business is hurting right now, I know it sucks. It is affecting a lot of industries. I have friends affected by it. But hold on to that hope that in the end, and when this all blows over, I think we'll all collectively be in a much more abundant, happier, healthier place.
Yeah, I totally agree. And I think when we come through this, things are going to look different. Professions are going to look different. Our economy is going to look different.
Yes.
The industries that thrive are going to be very different than what we probably would have predicted at the beginning of the year. So I like it. You had to stay, it's trying to stay positive, I think for a lot of people is hard, but really really try to do that. Well, listen, where can people, tell us what you're doing and where can people find you? I mean, I think everyone can
Yes,
find you,
yes.
but I'm just going to say it anyway. Where do people find you? What are you doing?
Yes, absolutely. Thank you. So I do LinkedIn video marketing. I do coaching. I have an online program, the 6-week LinkedIn video boot camp, that dives into everything that we talked about on this call with Trisha and more. She's actually a client of mine. She's been through the program. She's killing it. I'm loving watching your progress. So that's exactly what I do. I take everyday professionals, ordinary people. You don't have to have a digital marketing background. You don't have to have your own content yet. You can literally be starting from ground zero. That's what the program's designed to do, is teach you how to create a presence on LinkedIn to attract your target market, close more deals, and increase revenue. So if you're interested in learning more, you can go to shayrowbottom.com. That's my website. There is a form there, a schedule a call form that you can fill out to set up a call with my team to see if you're a good fit for the program. And then I also work with influencers and celebrity types who already have content, already have quite a presence and a following and a brand on other platforms, but they don't know anything about LinkedIn and they need help transferring that content, that presence to LinkedIn. I do also offer agency services where my team will repurpose and re-optimize everything for LinkedIn and just grow the profile there for them. So if either of those are you and you're listening and you know someone who needs help with LinkedIn, I am just a LinkedIn cheerleader. It is my platform. I am your girl for LinkedIn marketing. This platform has completely changed my life, 10x my business, my revenue, everything. And I want to share that with so many other people, especially now in this time where a lot of people's business are hurting. So do reach out. You can also connect with me directly on LinkedIn, Shay Rowbottom, and message me there as well.
I love it. Thank you. Thank you so much, my queen of LinkedIn. You know it more than anybody else I know. So if I ever had a question, I know exactly where to go. But I appreciate it. Until next time, everybody. Oh, before I leave, subscribe and hit a review and a like and a comment wherever you're looking at it. But subscribe. It would really help us.
Yes, and that is a CTA, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah, I always forgot.
Live action here. Yes, these are CTAs. Awesome. Thank you so much, Trisha. It's been an honor working with you, seeing you grow on LinkedIn, and I've loved being a guest on your show. So thank you so much.
Thank you so much, everybody. Until the next time on the Defense Never Rest, we'll see you then.